Good evening. This is Heartstock Radio. I'm your host, Carol Murphy. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. Remember that you can find us on Facebook or email us at heartstockradio@gmail.com. This evening, our guest is Siheun Song. She is the president and co-founder of Rally. She's got a great story to share here in just a moment. She will be back and tell you all about what she is up to. Thanks for listening. This is Heartstock.
Passing, but on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That time was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from redwood forests to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
Thank you for joining us this evening. This is Heartstock Radio. I'm Carol Murphy, your host. This evening we have with us Siheun Song. Hi, Siheun.
Hi, Carol.
Thank you so much for being our guest and sharing your story with all of our listeners. Please tell us who you are and what is Rally?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I am a 30-something-year-old Asian American woman living in New York City. I'm actually an immigrant. I came here with my family when I was 4 years old from South Korea, from Seoul, where I was born. And we came here in the 80s as my dad was a Methodist minister. And he came here to pursue his master's degree. And as he became ordained here and became a Methodist minister here, we decided to set our roots. And I ended up going to New York City public schools my entire life. I think that's really where my entrepreneurial journey started, growing up in New York City and having a Korean American church community around me, which is, full of small business people who are trying to make it, right? Live the American dream. A lot of them are small business owners who are running convenience stores and laundromats and groceries. And many of them are highly educated, forgoing, their doctor's degrees or, and the like back at home because they wanted to do, something special and different and embark on an adventure. And it's that spirit of trying to build something out of nothing. That's where I grew up in. And so, with that, I was really excited to share Rally with the world. Founded Rally about 3 years ago is when we went full-time with the company. It is a bus ride share platform. We bring together like-minded people and we bring them to events of all kinds, like sporting events, concerts, and festivals. And of course, the founding story is what I'm really excited to share with you today, Carol, as it was, something that came out of a passion project.
So let's back up just a little bit and talk about your academic background a little bit more. It's quite the hodgepodge, if I may say so.
Yeah, totally.
Can you share that and tell us how that may have influenced and led to the founding of Rally?
Yeah, I studied music growing up pretty intensely. So starting with piano and then as an organist, I studied at Juilliard Pre-College here in New York as one of the 2 organ students in the program. Organ is quite rare, but of course, as a PK or a pastor's kid, I had access to an organ and could practice organ. And, with that musical background, I was very involved with the arts. I started a band when I was in college. I was a senior in college when I started a band called Ava Luna. I'm really proud to share that Ava Luna made Newsweek's list of top albums of 2018. I'm no longer part of the band. I quit the band when 4 years into it. I had to step out as it was a little too much to juggle. But, it was really exciting to start the band when I was in college and be with them for 4 years. So in college, I actually didn't study music. I studied comparative literature. The major is called Comparative Literature and Society. At Columbia, they expect you to study 2 foreign languages. So for the major, and so mine were Spanish and Korean. Spanish just felt like something I should learn as a New Yorker. I had previously spent 7 years studying French in junior high and high school, and I found that to be completely useless in my day-to-day life in New York, where Spanish felt a lot more useful. So I pivoted to Spanish and ended up studying in Buenos Aires in Argentina for 1 year, and also getting to be exposed to the musical life there as well. I was serving as an organist at a Korean Argentine church. So that's a story for another time, but lots of different. Yeah, it was wild. There's a huge bustling Korean Argentine community in Buenos Aires, which was really great to be a part of. But at Columbia, I studied literature not for the sake of going into academia, but I had really great advice that you should really just study what you're passionate about, study the classes that are interesting to you. And so I did that with really no career path in mind. And of course, you're in college between age 18 and 22 anyways. What do you really know about the world and how it works? So I studied language and culture, and as I was a senior in college, I had a mentor, and she knew I was having this conundrum with my band, because I would either have to take a job, quit the band, or take a job that would allow me to tour and gig and record music and all that. So a mentor of mine told me that she would hire me and bring me into her team and allow me to take time off to be a musician as well. And so I gladly became part of her team. And so joined AXA. AXA is a French insurance company with headquarters here in New York. And I was part of her financial service team for 7 years. She ended up becoming one of the top female managers of the country. And I was her number 2 lady and building, this awesome team with her. And so it was great to have that support from a mentor to allow me to be a musician and also have a career that I was working towards. So that was, my 20s. I also want to mention that the Great Recession happened 1 year after I graduated from college. And I think that was one of, I think that definitely impacted everybody for sure. Our psyche really. And then in terms of my career, it also gave me an opportunity to work with small business people and high net worth individuals who were willing to take a chance with somebody who was young and could be trustworthy and could give them good financial advice. And so, it was a very interesting time to, enter my career. But after 6 years of working with AXA, I was really feeling the pull of school again. And so I looked into, studying another topic, was very near and dear to me, which is religion. And I was offered a full ride to go study at Yale Divinity School and was able to study, get my master's there and, dive into topics like East Asian Christianity and Asian American historiography, and also look at the ancient texts and look at, how this all relates to, how the Greco-Roman history really informs Christianity. So that was, a really great time to spend at Yale. And, lo and behold, it also became where we were able to launch our business.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about that, the evolution of Rally from the first time you kind of had that aha moment, this is really a business, and how you gave birth to it at Yale?
Yeah. So before arriving in New Haven, my life partner and I had this idea that we were working on. So we had our separate day jobs, we had our careers, but we also had this idea. And the first time we tried out the idea was for a political rally in DC. And it wasn't so much of like, let's try to figure out a way to take advantage of the situation, or let's try to figure out how to, modernize this antiquated industry. It was really just us trying to serve our own needs. And in this case, it was, how can we help this rally be as successful as possible? What can we do as grassroots activists to help other people who are like us get to this place? Because everyone is struggling to figure out how to get there in an efficient way. How can we do this in the most, fun and, interactive way? And instead of the traditional way of getting people together, which is let's book a bus and fill it up and hope to fill it up, we reversed the idea altogether and said, let's only do the trip if we get enough people to agree to it, and let's crowdfund and crowdsource the trip. And so that idea was something we put out into the community, saying, hey, let's try to make it happen. If we get enough people, we'll do the work of contracting with a local bus company and make that trip happen. And that premise was what really resonated with people, that we were grassroots activists who were honest and transparent and really trying to get this going. And the link went viral. So for our first trip, we ended up sending 5,000 people to that event. And that was that first aha moment that, hey, maybe there's something here. Maybe other people and other events are having the same challenges. Maybe we can apply it to another use case. And so we started looking at other kinds of events, NASCAR races and football games, concerts. And everywhere we offered the trip, people would sign up and try to get it going. They were the ones who were validating this idea and spreading the word and sharing and telling us, yes, this is the way I want to get to the event. I don't want to drive. I mean, I can drive, but I don't want to, right? Because this is a special day for me. And honestly, driving and traffic, and of course, a lot of events involve drinking. These are not great experiences, and I'd rather be driven, and not only be driven, be with other like-minded people of my community who I'm going to the event to be with anyways. So that was, I think the most important insight that we got from that first event was, were the people who were telling us that they chose to use this service that they had never heard about before because it was about extending that event day experience through the travel time, that it was transforming those hours that are supposed to be a drag into something else, something magical. And so that's what we've tapped into.
Yeah. It's, I'm just thinking about the times that I've gotten to do something similar to that, way back to high school, going to a pep rally or competing at a sport competition at the high school level. It's the ride there in addition to what actually happens at the event. So I can see why people responded. You said 5,000. How many buses did it take your first time for 5,000 people?
Yeah, that was just under 100 buses. It was 96 buses for the first time that we tried it out.
Mm. And what's the largest number of buses that you have organized for a single event?
We have organized more than 43,000 buses for a single day event. And that was 43,000.
For 43,000 people. Wow. 43,000
individuals on 800 or so, 800 plus buses.
Jiminy. And the energy of the crowd, I'm sure, just magnifies the whole experience. We're at about halfway point here, and we're going to take a quick music break, and we will be right back with Siheun Song of Rally. Welcome back. This is Heartstock Radio. I'm Carol Murphy, your host. Here in the studio is Clark Grant, and we are with Siheun Song of Raleigh. Thank you so much for being with us. Can you walk our listeners through the process of using Raleigh? How does it work?
Sure. What we've done is load our system with every possible event out there that's published. And usually I'm talking about the large scale events. So the entire league of, the football, baseball, hockey, as soon as the schedule is released, that schedule is in our system. And also college as well, college games and concerts, festivals. Those all become part of catalogs that we have. And when people find us, it's usually either, of course, the best way that people find us is through word of mouth. But a lot of people find us through our partners that are advertising for us, or just really searching for Google on, an SEO, search engine optimization. We've excelled in that historically, where people are searching for, let's say bus to Buffalo Bills. That's our first NFL partner. And they will find us as an organic search result, meaning that we're not paying for these ads, but Google has determined that this is a very relevant search result. And so people find us, they're finding us. That's another kind of aha moment that we've had, which is that there is a huge volume of people out there who are looking for an alternative way to get to this event that they're thinking of. And so they're looking up words like transportation to Kentucky Derby or bus to Daytona 500. And when they do, they find us on that first page, and they'll book, they'll land deep into that booking page, which is already that event date. And then you can pick your location. And then you're booking a seat just like any booking site for your transportation. What you'll see, though, again, the difference here is that a lot of the trips are tentative, right? Because we rely on the tipping point. So you'll see a number there that says how many more riders needed for the route to be confirmed. And that number is usually 25 riders along a route. 25 riders represent about 40% of the bus full. So once we get to 40% of the bus full, then we confirm the trip. And we're also using our algorithmic routing technologies to make sure that we are, routing 5 people here, 5 people there, maybe asking those riders to move from that outside city to something more closer to the route. So we're creating these smart routes based on demand, so that every event, every, game has a little, something different to it, because it really is dependent on where the riders want to come from. So our technology is taking the demand and creating smart routes. And of course, we are working with the local bus companies out there. Once we have enough riders, we send out an RFQ, a request for quote, to the operators in the area, all of the local operators. And what we've done is create a marketplace. They now respond to our RFQ with their bid, with their fleet. They enter in their driver information, their fleet information, and then we determine, that's when we do our due diligence of making sure that it's, we like the new buses, right? We're trying to recreate this brand of buses. So we're looking for the best buses. We're looking for the newest buses. We're looking for the best operators who've been around. Actually, there are many multi-generational families out there who've been, doing amazing jobs of maintaining beautiful fleets and wonderful drivers, and we're identifying those drivers. So we get connected to them, and then they win the bid, and they are doing the work of doing the transportation. The operators, the drivers, they're equipped with the Raleigh app such that on the day of, the rider will be able to see the location of the bus, right? Just like taxis, just as Uber and Lyft has changed, how we interact with taxis, same goes here as well, that riders can have that visibility. It is true that the number one customer service question in the bus industry is, where's the bus? And so we really needed to answer that with some technology, and we were able to do that. So everybody has, that visibility with each other, and we can rely on technology so that we can move a ton of people and coordinate a bunch of bus companies that are maybe, we're going to use a different bus company from the north versus the east versus the south and west, because they're very hyper-local businesses, right? We're pulling supply from, where the demand is. Just to speak a little bit about the bus industry, in the U.S. and Canada alone, there are nearly 4,000 bus companies, bus operators, meaning that they are registered with the DOT and they have a bus. And by bus, I mean a 55-passenger motor coach, the really huge buses on the roads that have, they're high, they have a bathroom in the back, they have all the amenities. So there are 4,000 bus companies out there, and they are mom and pop businesses. On average, they own 2 to 10 buses each. So they don't really have the technology yet, and it doesn't make sense for companies to build their own apps, right? So this is where we come into play and give them modern tools to help them use AI. Let's use automation to improve business processes.
One of the biggest snafus with startups and for our entrepreneurs is the task of raising capital. Can you speak a little bit about your experience and how you did this so successfully?
It's not easy. It's never easy, and certainly not supposed to be easy, especially for first-time founders. I think the most difficult part about being a first-time founder is that your networks aren't developed yet. And so I think it's really important to work on your network, whatever profession you're in, continue building your network and build relationships. And of course, authentic, relationships where you are also providing value and feedback and mentorship as well. I would say that we were very fortunate to find that at Yale there was a program called the Yale Entrepreneurial Institute, YEI. And YEI is a program for student entrepreneurs in the summer. Every summer, they take a few student startups into the cohort, and it's a sort of a boot camp for startups to learn about fundraising, to learn about how to get your financing, the documents in order, how to set up your C Corp, and also just understand the landscape, right? What kind of investor really fits with what you're trying to get done? Because there's, venture capital is very intoxicating. Venture capital is the best marketed money capital out there. So, we all think that it's kind of the only way, but there really is a lot of sources of funding. And you'll find, especially in the beginning, that a really key part to that is making sure that you do have a solid angel network to get your first checks. So through the Yale network, we were able to network and get in front of angels who were very interested in seeing us grow. And I think the most important part too, when you're starting to talk to investors, is to really understand their timeline as well, right? How patient are they? What kind of return and timeline are they looking for? So these are the kinds of things that Yale was able to teach us from the very beginning, and I think we really benefited from that. We've benefited from that so much that we actually entered another business accelerator called Techstars, which is based in they're all over the country and actually all over the world now, but they have a mobility program based in Detroit for companies such as ourselves that are working on transportation and mobility technologies. And so that was another opportunity for us to get more mentorship and expand our network and find the right kind of investors and partners to bring to the table.
And did you initially and early on at that 5,000 participant level realize that this was going to be fabulously successful? Are you still waiting for that moment where you say, yes, we've done it, we've made it?
I think that when we moved those 43,000 individuals, when we transported them to the Women's March on Washington in about 2 years ago now, actually more like 3 years ago now. Wow.
Time
So it was Yeah, it was the beginning of 2017. Mm-hmm. And that's when we moved, that many people. And no company has ever moved that many individuals or coordinated that kind of thing before. And so it's still hard to, wrap your head around that many people, right? And largely they were women. I feel like they were all sort of our guardian angels in a way, because they were, trusting in us and believing in us. And they knew that their volume was stretching us to our limits, right? They were breaking our website from the sheer volume, and they were breaking our customer service team. We had to shut down our telephone service. We had to move strictly to email because we could not, of course, keep up with the volume. So, to be a part of something that historic and, I'm still like at awe, because you can't, that kind of magnitude of people and what we accomplished, I think it still leaves me a little bit dumbfounded.
So we're about a minute away from our running out of time point. So what I would love for you to do is to tell our listeners how they might find you and learn more about Rally and yourself.
Yes, please be in touch. My email is s@rally.co, S as in Sheehan, or S as in super, at rally, RALLY.co.
Fantastic. And I did check out your website. It's mind-boggling. Great what you've created. Thank you so much for sharing your story with all of us.
Thank you, Karen.
Sheehan, it's been great.
Thank you so much. Likewise. Happy holidays.
Oh, yes. Happy holidays. This is Heartstock Radio. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week. Peace.
Heartstock Radio is a production of KBMF 102.5 Butte America Radio. Hear our live programs every Friday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time via livestream at butteamericaradio.org.